Hello. I um I was a student at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine uh back in 2005 to 2010, and I was expelled twice from there. I'm now a clinical social worker, graduated from Temple University, and I'm basically doing what I set out to do as a student at PCOM. Um, but and I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm developing a private practice. I'm a CBT, DBT therapist, EMDR therapist. Um, I work as a intensive in community therapist in New Jersey, and I do play therapy, cognitive processing therapy, um, prolonged exposure. I have training in that, and I could have done all this at PCOM, but I was thrown out and twice. And I think for really it, well, maybe some of it um, is my fault. You always said should take responsibility, but I think my political views and I found it, like psychology more generally, to be a very racist phenomena, which, maybe it's getting better. But I mean, if you look at um, the bell curve, Arthur Jensen, Raymond Cattell, so many of the most more prominent psychologists of the 20th century, Richard Herrnstein. There's a whole list of them. It's I had this. I don't know if he was a friend, but there was a psychologist named Dr. William H. Tucker. He died. He was a professor at Rutgers Camden, and he specialized in racism, in particular in psychometrics. And I really strongly recommend his books, Science and Politics of Racial Research, uh, or Stephen Jay Gould's The Mismeasure of Man. And, PCOM was kind of centrist, I would say a little right wing, kind of little school. And I found that a lot of things that they said to me, in terms of questioning my intelligence and my ethics, and you know uh, character, I guess, is the same along the lines of ethics. But and I think looking back, I questioned. It's not just racial, but it's also my political views, because at the time I spoke up against the invasion of Iraq, and I would incorporate it into my classes and what I would write about. And I also wrote about um, my at the time it was Hurricane Katrina, and and these were not topics that were academic. Like my grandmother's house flooded in New Orleans, so yeah, that was a topic that I was very concerned about and wrote about and talked about. And the invasion of Iraq was really horrifying to me. So I wrote about that. I wrote a paper called Shock and Awe. Then I wanted to write about George W. Bush for this psychopathology class. I wasn't allowed to. And then I was considered to be um, just like not appropriate, just violating social norms. I was told I was making sexual innuendo in class. I never did any of it. Never did any of it. It's just horrible. And then I asked a teacher about my grade, Dr. Gina Fusco. Got in trouble for asking about my grade. It seems so stupid now, like, because I work for myself. And now that I have the license, and nobody even asks for my grades anymore. This is totally irrelevant. Maybe if I got a doctorate, um, it would have mattered, my grades. Um, it was just very negative. It's just I felt very invalidated, and if I and it was like they were always talking about me and what I'm doing wrong. We weren't really talking about psychology, and which I thought graduate school at least would be going into topics in depth and really discussing Freud or B.F. Skinner, or and then we did, I guess, but I got a lot of personal attacks, and I thought it was over the top. Like I also have a master's degree from Cheney, and certainly didn't experience that at Cheney. I mean, and I didn't really experience that at Temple either. I didn't really experience that anywhere. I mean, I went to the Episcopal Academy. I didn't. I mean, I think my brother experienced some racial animus, but I didn't. Not really. So it was really weird and really horrible. But and I don't know if it's gotten any better. We now have Donald Trump as the president. So it's like, for me, it's just like right underneath the surface. What I call it's sort of a nod to you know um, Hannah Arendt's uh, term, the banality of evil. Albert Eichmann. Yeah, just normalizing racial hate. Like we have this genocide going on right now, and there are people speaking up, thankfully, but far too many people are just like indifferent. I wonder if I mean, if I was a student at PCOM now, I'm sure I'd be writing about that, or I'd be talking about that. And I know my advisor was uh, a big Israel supporter. And Israel was invading Lebanon at the time. I wrote about that too, actually dropping white phosphorus. I mean, mowing the lawn, and you know, um, I've noticed in a lot of the organizations I'm in, it's not just PCOM, but the American Group Psychotherapy Association, and the Philadelphia Society of Clinical Social Workers. They're I find some of the social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, their views rather appalling. They in regards to war and genocide. I would think at least, that they would be much more empathic people. But it's like they dehumanize some people and then value others. And that's a big problem. That's a big problem. I'll say more on this later.